Gotta get some energy before we start. Let's start with the top 5 NFC quarterbacks. This list was a lot harder to make than the AFC because I don't think any of these dudes, maybe one or two, would even crack the top 7 of the AFC. I'm going to start with my bubble players as I did last week. I've got 2 of them being Kyler Murray and Jordan Love. Now, again, you could put these in any order you want. I would probably go Jordan Love 6, and then I would go Kyler Murray 7, because we haven't seen enough of Kyler Murray the last 2 years where he's been injured throughout both those seasons. And even though at the end of last year he was a solid fantasy quarterback, we got to see him put together some wins with Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. As for Jordan Love, I had him at 5 or 4, but I couldn't justify putting him above some of these other guys that have made a Super Bowl already in their career. And I think we've only seen 7 games out of Jordan Love where he's really shown, hey, I'm the number 1 quarterback. I could be a top 5 QB in my conference. While the run was really impressive from about Thanksgiving last year on, we need to see some more tape this year for me to move him into the top 5. Now to start off with number 5, this guy was one that almost didn't make the list, and it was recently paid Jared Goff. Now, I had to put him on the list because, hey, he did make a Super Bowl. Granted, it was 5-6 years ago. This did happen where he made a Super Bowl with Sean McVay on the Rams. He just got paid a lot of money. He's going to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks paid right now, which is crazy because Jared Goff, we kind of know what he is, right? When he's not pressured, when he's in a clean pocket and he plays in a dome, he's solid, right? He's going to get the job done. He's going to move the ball down the field, score a bunch of points, and probably win a lot of football games. With that being said, you got to look at the numbers when he's being blitzed, as he drops to kind of middle of the pack, or lower even, when he gets blitzed by opposing teams. So when teams figure that out, hey, we have a good D-line, we have some good guys back in coverage, let's just sit back, rush forward, get pressure on him. The issue is that's not going to work against Detroit, as they have one of the best offensive lines in the league and a great run game to go along with that. Number 4, this was one that I had at number 2. I don't even remember the list from last year, but Dak Prescott's on here. And I tried to make this list a little more consistent than last week. The one knock on Dak Prescott is where's the playoff success? All right, I think he's only won 2 playoff games in his career. And this year, again, I felt like, hey, you're at home against the youngest team in like the history since the 19-something Bills for youngest team in a playoff, and you get routed in your own building by Green Bay, which is absolutely insane. Now, he did almost win MVP last season, which almost let him make that jump, because I do think Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. But until I see that playoff success, he's not going to go above these guys that have either made Super Bowls or won Super Bowls. Now, starting at that 3 range, this is where things start to get a little bit confusing. I got Brock Purdy at number 3, and I know what people are saying. People will say this is too low and it's too high, which is why I think 3 is kind of the right number, because I don't think Brock Purdy's the best quarterback, second best quarterback in the league, as some people think, but I don't think he's the 18th best quarterback either. He's somewhere around that 9, 10, 11 range, and this is a fair ranking for him because A, he beat Dak Prescott in the playoffs last year or 2 years ago and made a Super Bowl. And that's why he goes above Dak Prescott. That's why he goes above Jared Goff. That's why he goes above Jordan Love, because he did beat Jordan Love in the playoffs as well. Now for the guy above him, another guy that also made the Super Bowl and lost to Mahomes by 3 in the Super Bowl. And the only thing that this guy really has over Brock Purdy is that he beat him head-to-head. I know Brock Purdy was hurt, but Jalen Hurts gets that 2 spot. People forget really quickly in this league that it was only, do some quick math, 15, 16, 17 months ago where Jalen Hurts had the best team in football going up against Brock Purdy and absolutely wiped the floor with the 49ers. And no one looked like they could beat the Eagles until Patrick Mahomes did. One down year for Hurts doesn't mean everything. I still think they're going to be able to get the job done, especially with that supernatural funk leaving the air and getting Saquon Barkley in the offseason. So Jalen Hurts, number 2. 2 wide receivers got paid. He should be poised to explode this year for another MVP caliber season. Now at number 1, I do not necessarily think that this guy is the greatest quarterback in the NFC, and this is not a who would I want for the next 5-10 years because he is older, but this is the only one on this list that has a Super Bowl win, and that is Matthew Stafford, a guy that has gone head-to-head with both of these guys, or a lot of these guys on the list, and beaten them in the playoffs. So Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl win, still viable in making the playoffs every year. Until I think he's a bad quarterback, he's going to stay at top 3 of this list. Now, obviously, we'll see with Aaron Donald retiring what's going to happen with Stafford and the rest of that team, but he's got 2 great wide receivers still in Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp to see if they can get the job done, and I love the running back there. I'm probably going to draft him in fantasy. The only name coming to me is Cam Akers. I got it. Kyron Williams. Could not remember his name. Matthew Stafford still gets to be number 1 for now. With that being said, let me know down below who you think I missed. And let me know if you think a guy like Kirk Cousins or Caleb Williams should be on this list instead of the guys that I named.